A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Dstv Premiership action as Kaizer Chiefs take on Mamelodi Sundowns. So, coming up into this encounter then, the blue team will represent Kaizer Chiefs and then the red team will represent Mamelodi Sundowns. So, the last time out then, Kaizer Chiefs did win 1-0 against Marumo Gallants at home, and then with Mamelodi Sundowns, they won 2-0 against Sekhukhune, where they were very, very dominant. So, coming up then into this encounter with Kaizer Chiefs then, they have been doing very poorly in the past couple of weeks with regards to how they've been trying to play and how they've been trying to apply themselves, and the results haven't been going their way. It's only that victory that they picked up against Marumo Gallants, which was a positive victory in the last 5 games for them. And then when you have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns then, this is a side that have already won the league title. It's already confirmed. So this encounter then is for bragging rights and just to ensure that they open up that gap at the top of the league table. With Kaizer Chiefs then, they will be looking then to try get points and ensure that they finish as high as possible. However, let's have a look then at the personnel as we go into a tactical pre-match analysis. So the blue team then represents Kaizer Chiefs. So when you have a look at it then, Kaizer Chiefs have been under the tutelage of Arthur Zwane in the past couple of games, and they have played various shapes. However, the shape and formation that he has favored has been a 4-2-3-1/4-3-3. So it has been predominantly a 3-man midfield and a back 4. So when you have a look at it then, in goals, the last time out, they did start with Ubavuma, who kept a clean sheet against Marumo Gallants. And this is a keeper then who is very vocal and very good then at ensuring that he offers that organization and that communication for this Kaizer Chiefs back line. And then when you have a look at the back 4, at left back, the last time out, they did start with Reeve Frosler. So when you have a look at Reeve Frosler, this is a player then who is ambipedal, so very comfortable with both feet, that is left and right. However, because he's naturally right-footed, whenever then he does play on the left-hand side within vertical zone 1 for Kaizer Chiefs, he doesn't always offer them that natural width. He finds himself drifting in a lot of the times, and that is sometimes to the detriment of Kaizer Chiefs in possession of the ball, because then it becomes a lot easier then to close him down, and because he doesn't offer that width, which then would create that space for himself. So at times then, even when he does venture forward and find himself in advanced pockets of space, he then struggles then at times to whip in an adequate delivery with his left foot. So sometimes his crosses then would be really flighted as opposed to them being those low and hard crosses which are needed. So this is a player then who is a good player. However, I just think that at times he has tended to struggle as a left back, as I don't think that he is a natural left back. You know, you do have Mashiane, you do have Mabiliso. So it's been very interesting to see how they've persisted, especially then in Stuart Baxter's time, and now with Arthur Zwane, they've persisted with Frosler at left back when you do have natural left-footed players who can play in this position. Because when you do have a right-footed player playing in deep pocket of space, playing on the left-hand side within vertical zone 1, what he tends to do is that he tends to take a touch on his regressive foot as opposed to his progressive foot, which would be the back foot. In this case, it would be receiving on the left foot, which then would be on the back foot, looking then to progress the ball. However, a lot of the times it's him taking the ball onto his right foot, and that does become regressive, and he does become square on a lot of the time. So a lot of the times his view is square on as opposed to him opening up his body, where then he's got different angles and he's got different passing channels as well. So that is then one of the talking points when it comes then to Reeve Frosler with regards to him playing at left back. For me, he hasn't been as consistent, and at times he's struggled. And I just think that it just boils down to the fact that he's predominantly right-footed, you know, and he's not naturally a left-footed player. And to me, it's just mind-boggling because you've got a Mashiane and you've got a Mabili, so who are players then who can offer you that natural width and can look to progress the ball adequately down the left wide channel. And then when you move on right along then, as the left-sided centre-back, they have started with Umpahlele. As the right-sided centre-back, they have started with Ngezane. And then at right-back, you've got Njabulo Blom. So when you have a look at this pair, I think at times they've struggled then to deal with crosses. And whenever then Kaizer Chiefs are being forced to defend counter-attacking situations and offensive transitions from the opposition, they struggle then with their own defensive transitions, and at times they get stretched a lot of the times, and that is when a ball then can be played in between these two, and they do tend to struggle with that, and with crosses as well. You know, that has been their weakness. With regards to Ungezane, this is a player then who at times he has looked solid and has had solid displays, and then at right back you've got Njabulo Blom. But then another thing then to point out, and that people might not notice about this back four, is that you've got a back four of right-footed players only, which then becomes a problem. And that's why I think that Kaizer Chiefs defense hasn't been balanced at times. Also then when you look at ball progression, ball circulation, it's not as fluid, it's not as progressive as it should be, because you've got four right-footed players. And then when you have a look at Njabulo Blom, he's been the most consistent defender for Kaizer Chiefs this season. This is a player then who does offer you within vertical zone 5 down the right-hand side, as he does look then to get forward and put in those deliveries, you know. So in the beginning of the season, he was putting very good balls into the box, and it's something as the season progressed he struggled with. However, as of late, he has been getting a couple of assists from that wide position whenever he does look to deliver the ball. So he does also at times tend to bring it onto his left foot and can deliver with his left foot as well. In 1v1 defensive situations, he's very, very solid. Moving on then right along within the heart of midfield, the last time out then, they did start with Nange, they started with Bacchus, and they started with Ukhatebe. So that was the midfield three that they started out with the last time out. And when you do have a look then at Bacchus, which is a player I would like to pinpoint, this is a player then who does offer Kaizer Chiefs that control within the heart of midfield. He does also then offer them that ball circulation and that ball retention as well. At times, he does look then to play those penetrative, progressive pass, which then look then to break the opposition lines. And he then is very key when it comes to progressing the ball from deep pockets of space for this Kaizer Chiefs side. However, because Kaizer Chiefs have been struggling and they haven't been performing well, I think the midfield has also struggled, because at times they would keep the ball, yes, but it wouldn't be as progressive, it wouldn't be as penetrative, and they'd lack a bit of that creativity, you know, as they also haven't been scoring goals, you know, and they've really been struggling in that department for them to create chances consistently and also score a lot of goals. So from a stylistic perspective, I think Kaizer Chiefs have been struggling, and they just haven't been able to thoroughly impose themselves, where then they're able to build up successfully, progress that ball into consolidation phase, where then they're looking then to penetrate into the final third, create chances, and then finish off those goals. So you do have Bacchus, you do have Nange, and then you did have Khatebe start as the advanced midfielder. However, if Nkosi Ngobo is available, I do think that he does come into this Kaizer Chiefs lineup, and he can then look to offer them that creativity within the heart of midfield, as I do think that Kaizer Chiefs have lacked a bit of that, and they just haven't been fluid, and they haven't played in great cohesion with regards to them looking to penetrate going forward. And what's also been interesting then is that Keegan Dolly at times has played in the midfield, but he'd play as the left-sided central midfielder, you know, so he'd occupy the left-sided half space, and then you would have Nkosi Ngobo start off the right. You know, that is something that they have done. At times, it swap as the game progresses, so that is also something then that could be very, very interesting with regards to looking out for coming up against this Mamelodi Sundowns side. And then when you have a look at it then, so we'll go with a 4-2-3-1. You have Bacchus, you have Nange, and then let's say you have Nkosi Ngobo, or it could be Khatebe, you know, depending on how Coach Arthur Zwane sees things. And then you do have Dolly, who starts off the right-hand side of the three. And when you have a look at then Keegan Dolly, this is a player then who has been scoring as of late, and a player then who's been very key with regards to getting goals for Kaizer Chiefs, you know, as he does sit on 8 league goals. So he's been very, very instrumental with regards to getting goals and also looking to offer creativity for this Kaizer Chiefs side throughout the season. I just think, though, that collectively Kaizer Chiefs have struggled, and Keegan Dolly as well. His performances haven't been as impressive as we know that they can be. I think he has been a bit lethargic and a bit flat at times. So this is a game then coming up against Mamelodi Sundowns. He could look to impose himself. With regards to Keegan Dolly then, he does offer you that creativity in between the lines. He also offers you that positional superiority with regards to how then he looks to come in between the lines, receive that ball on his back foot, look to progress the ball for Kaizer Chiefs. At times, he can look to cut in and have shots at goal himself. We do know that he also did score a free kick against Chippa United, and he's also a threat then from set pieces with regards then to his technical ability. And then he does then enjoy quite a healthy relationship with Njabulo Blom with regards to how they interchange and their positional rotations as well. So sometimes Dolly can be the one who looks to go wide, and then Njabulo Blom can look to come into that right-sided half space. However, a lot of the times you do have Keegan Dolly drifting in, and then you've got Njabulo Blom who'd look to offer the width on the right-hand side for this Kaizer Chiefs side. And then when you have a look at it then, the last time out, they did start with Billiat up front, and then Parker came off the left. However, you do also have other options then. If fully fit, you do have Castro. If fully fit, you've got Nukovic, you've got Akhaukelo Sikhota as well. However, what I would like to see from Kaizer Chiefs coming up into this encounter against Mamelodi Sundowns, because Mamelodi Sundowns will have the lion's share of possession, I just think that it's better if they start with the fluid front three, where then that could serve a dual purpose. So from a pressing perspective with regards to the intensity and how high they're looking to press Mamelodi Sundowns, if you then start with the Billiat, Dolly and Sikhota, I think that could really aid Kaizer Chiefs with regards to how they'd look to press. And then when you have a look at it then from an offensive transition and counter-attacking perspective, they're also then quite quick then on the offensive transition and could look to counter-attack this Mamelodi Sundowns side. However, it's going to be very interesting then with regards to how Kaizer Chiefs look to apply themselves, especially considering then that they have been struggling to impose themselves and they haven't been performing well as of late. And I would just think that this game, as much as Sundowns have won the league and Kaizer Chiefs find themselves in a position where it does look slightly impossible for them to finish second, if then teams ahead of them with regards to Cape Town City and Royal AM, if they go on and win their games, then it does look slightly impossible for them to finish second. So it's going to be very interesting with regards to how they approach this game and how they look to impose themselves. And I think overall, this game then is a game of bragging rights. Also considering then that the last time out at Loftus Versfeld within the first half of the season, Mamelodi Sundowns won this game 2-0, and Kaizer Chiefs created so many chances on the night, and one could even argue that they should have won that game. However, that is Kaizer Chiefs then with regards to how they'll be looking to impose themselves. And I do think then that a key player coming up into this encounter will be Billiat. I think that he's been the most impressive in the past couple of weeks, and he's been the one standout player, even though Kaizer Chiefs have been struggling. However, let's move on right along then, and let's have a look at the DStv Premiership champions. So with Mamelodi Sundowns side, then this is a side that is very dynamic and very, very fluid, as they do enjoy positional play and positional rotations as well. However, let's have a look at the personalities that they could potentially go with. So with Mamelodi Sundowns, we do know that they've got a plethora of quality options in each and every single department. However, quite a few of their players have been out because of injury, so it's going to be very interesting to see who can make it for this game. However, let's go with the lineup that started the last time out against Sekhukhune and some of the players then which were rested. So in goals then, the last time out, they did start with Riyad Peterson. So with Mamelodi Sundowns then, because they are very dynamic and they are very fluid, they do start then with a 4-2-3-1 system. At times, it ends up looking somewhat of a 4-2-2-2, but standard, it is a 4-2-3-1. So when you have a look at it then, you've got Riyad Peterson, who started in goals. However, coming up into this encounter, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kennedy Mwini starting, as he does offer that experience. And this is a game that I think that Sundowns will really want to win, A, for bragging rights, and to ensure then that they're able then to finish with as many points as possible. So I do see Mwini starting in goals. At right back, I do foresee Mudau starting. This is a player then who's been doing very well this season, and I think he is a candidate for defender of the season, as I do think that he's been the best right back this season within the league. When you have a look at Mudau then, from a defensive perspective, he's very solid in those 1v1 situations. And then this is a player then who does also look to offer the width for Mamelodi Sundowns on the right hand side within vertical zone 5, especially considering then that Sundowns do play then with a very fluid front 3/4. So because then they are very fluid and they look to drift into central pockets of space, being the half space, vertical zone 3 and the other half space, it becomes very important that Mudau can be then the outlet on the right hand side, looking to offer width for this Mamelodi Sundowns side. With Mudau then, whenever he does offer width, this is a player who can deliver a quality ball into the box. However, he does enjoy somewhat of a deeper position on the right hand side. So this isn't a fullback who's always going to bomb up and down, but he does then look to offer width for this Mamelodi Sundowns side. And whenever he does go forward, he can deliver a quality ball into the box. And then when you have a look then at the two centre backs. So the last time out, they did start with Gran Kekana and Musa Lebusa. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rushin Duruk coming in alongside Gran Kekana, as I do think that has been the best pair for Mamelodi Sundowns throughout the DStv Premiership campaign. Yes, then there is also Onyango, who at some point with Rushin Duruk, they were very formidable. However, coming up into this encounter then, I do foresee Gran Kekana and Lebusa. If not Lebusa, then Rushin Duruk. And then when you have a look then at Mamelodi Sundowns with regards to how they look to build up, because they do look to build up from the back, work it into consolidation phase, and then look to penetrate within the final third. So when you have a look at it then, you'd have the two centre backs looking to open up, and then your defensive midfielder, which is often Andile Jali, he'd look then to facilitate the build-up. So that is how Mamelodi Sundowns would look to build up a lot of the time. So even when the opposition do look to press them from deep, they still insist on building up from the back, even if their centre-backs must go really deep, and Jali then would look to take it off the goalkeeper. In this case, it would be Mweni. And depending then if Jali does come into this encounter, because the last time out, they did start with Maboe and they started with Umkulisi as well. But I do foresee Jali coming back into the heart of midfield. So I do foresee Jali coming back into the heart of midfield alongside Maboe. And going to be very interesting then with regards to how they look to impose themselves. However, a special mention must then go to Spele Mkulisi, who I think had a very good display against Sekhukhune the last time out, as he ran things within the heart of midfield. He really controlled the midfield for this Mamelodi Sundowns side, as I do think that he is a specialist and the best ball carrier within South African football and within the league as well. This is a player then who does offer you that ball progression. He does offer you that creativity within those deep pockets of space. A player then who's got very penetrative passes, which then looks to break the opposition line. A player comfortable then with regards to receiving in tight pockets of space. He can advance further up and look then to ensure that Mamelodi Sundowns are able to penetrate within the final third. However, where he's very key then is within vertical zone 3 and within the two half spaces, being then the right sided half space, the left sided half space, where then he's looking then to ensure that Mamelodi Sundowns are able then to progress that ball. They're able then to also circulate that ball, and he retains the ball very well. So I would like to see him in this encounter with regards to continuity, especially considering how well he played against Sekhukhune. But I do foresee then Jali starting alongside Maboe. And then when you do have a look at the left back, so the last time out then, they did start with Aubrey Mudiba. This is a player then who's been doing very well within the past couple of games, as he has also picked up back-to-back DStv Premiership Man of the Match awards, and he's also scored back-to-back, where he did score then against Royal AM, and then he also scored a cracker against Sekhukhune. So with Aubrey Mudiba, this is a player then who does offer Mamelodi Sundowns a lot of creativity, as he's very comfortable on the ball, as naturally he is an advanced player, he is an attacking attacking player, but when he does then play on the left-hand side, this is a player then who's very comfortable on the ball, and he does then look to progress that ball, and he can also push up then, and whenever he does push up, he does offer Mamelodi Sundowns that quality within the final third. In 1v1 defensive situations, I would say then that he's also able to the task. He's also adequate within that regard. However, what's very interesting then to note about Aubrey Modiba is that a lot of the times he doesn't take up your traditional pockets of space that your traditional left back would, because a traditional left back would be looking then to often offer the width, but with Modiba, he does look to come into that left-sided half space, so he does look to invert a lot of the times, and as a result of that, that's how his goal came against Sekhukhune, where he picked up the ball within that left-sided half space, and then he finished. So with Aubrey Modiba, then, he is a player then that offers this Mamelodi Sundowns side that positional superiority with regards to how he looks to position himself. At times, he does even get in between the lines. As a left-back, he does look to push forward, and whenever then Mamelodi Sundowns do have numbers with regards to the central pockets of space, and they have overloaded within the heart of midfield, and they have overloaded the half space, then he would be the one to offer the width for this Mamelodi Sundowns on the left-hand side, and can also deliver those crosses. So this is a player then who is very intelligent with regards to his movement and his positioning as well. So you do have Aubrey Modiba, who then starts at left back. And then when you do have a look then at, I would say sort of the front three / front four, because it is quite fluid and they do look to move around a lot of the time. So a lot of the times then you do have Peter Shalulile, who does start off either the right-hand side or the left-hand side. He does then look to start in a wider position where then he looks to drift in. That then makes him very dangerous and very difficult to pick up by virtue of the fact that he doesn't start in your traditional number 9 or striker's pocket of space with regards to him occupying zone 14 in between the two centre-backs, but he does tend to look to start wide, and then he does look then to make those runs into the box. That has made him very dangerous then, because he does then often look to expose the blind side of the centre-backs. Whenever play then is overloaded on the left-hand side, he does then look to make that either that late run, or he does then look to expose the blind side. This is a player then who's been doing very, very well, and in my opinion, the player of the season. And then you do then have the last time out, you do then have, you've got Serino, you've got Maema, and then you've got Themba Zwane as well. However, because I mentioned that it is such a fluid front 3/4, they do look to interchange positions. So this front four can change at any given time, you know, so they're looking to interchange a lot of the times. And the beauty then is that on the right hand side, they don't have the responsibility of looking to offer the width. Yes, Themba Zwane does tend to drift to the right hand side a lot of the times, but because you've got Mudau offering the width, they can then even look to overload a lot of the times. And this is how then they cause a lot of trouble for a lot of teams. So at times then, what you can see from Mamelodi Sundowns with regards to the offensive scheme within the opposition half, it does become very, very aggressive. So you would have the two centre-backs there. So, for example, you can have Kekane there, you can have Lebusa there, and then you have Aubrey Modiba, who would look to invert. So sometimes it ends up looking somewhat of a 3-2-5 offensive scheme within the opposition half, where you've got Gran Kekane, you've got Lebusa, and then you've got Aubrey Modiba. At times, it can even then look somewhat of a 2-3-5, where then if Modiba does look to push up into that left-sided half space, that's what it becomes like, you know. So Sundowns become very, very aggressive within the opposition half. Out of possession, they do look to press instantaneously. So as soon as they lose it, they're looking then to press the opposition. They're looking then to suffocate the opposition as well. However, there are so many players that they have that could come into the lineup. I mean, for example, you do have Ralani as an example. You do have Kermit Erasmus, you know, amongst other players. You do also have Kapinga as well. So this is a side that has a lot of quality, and some of those players then who are not available for Sekhukhune could always make a return against Kaizer Chiefs. So when you have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns, then I do foresee Themba Zwane being a key player, and Peter Shalulile as well. But a player then who I think will be absolutely key in this game will be Peter Shalulile, especially then with regards to how then he looks to trouble both Phahlele and Gezane with his movement in behind, and how then he's looking to exploit then this shaky, unbalanced back four of Kaizer Chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. However, it wouldn't be a special tactical pre-match analysis if I didn't give you then the prediction. So coming up then into this mouth-watering encounter, I do foresee Sundowns winning this game 3-1. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. If you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, like, and share that link as well. Signing out.